We've said many times here on the show, there's a major difference between having a retirement account and having a retirement plan. We're going to talk about the difference between the two of those here on this episode of Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. We appreciate you joining us for this episode. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. You want to set up a time to speak with them. If you have questions about your retirement in general, you want to find out about the First Friday events, how to attend those, WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. Made it real easy for you to get them. Just click the link right there in the podcast description. It'll take you right there. My name is Chris Swan. Pleased to be joined, as always, by Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Fine. How are you?
Doing good, sir.
Good.
Doing very well. Glad to hear it. So people these days, they've got their 401ks or their 403bs, the alphabet soup of their retirement accounts, and they've got these, hopefully, pretty robust balances there in the bottom. But if you retire with those accounts, the question usually becomes, what should I do with it? Generally, there's a couple choices. You either leave the money in the former company's plan or you roll it over to an IRA. Let's talk about what people need to know about each move and not every single time, obviously, because it's going to vary, but what seems to be the typical move for clients.
So anytime we get this question, obviously this is part of the retirement roadmap that we go through, but most people, I think the biggest thing is they don't really understand how they work, how their investments are working, and how they can withdraw funds. So if you take a look at what you've got through your 401k, or like you said, the alphabet soup of retirement accounts, is that there's limited options as far as what you can invest in. So to me, I think having the ability to kind of invest in anything that you would like to with your money would probably be a little bit more of a wiser move. But most people now, they'll probably need to take distributions, whether it's monthly, annually, they want to take a nice trip, so they need to pull out 20 grand, whatever it looks like. You might be limited from that custodian in the plan on how you can withdraw your funds. So if you wanted to get a biweekly or a monthly distribution, to fund your lifestyle, you might have limitations. Is that really what you want to continue to do for retirement? Most people, when they retire, they want to do whatever they want, whenever they want to, right? That's kind of everybody's dream. So I think that's very important, is you want your money to do what you want it to do. And if you've got 10, 12, 15 options in your 401k, maybe that doesn't fit the mold that you're trying to do.
For me, whenever I have this conversation with clients that are either retiring or possibly even clients that, left a job and have an old 401k, it comes down to communication and control for me. So the question was posed as, you could leave it with your old company. To me, that normally is not the best option. If you think about it, when you were working, you were going into your office or you were working from home and you're on these Teams or Zoom calls every day and you're talking with other people, HR is communicating with you. There's going to be some level of communication regarding what's happening with your 401k or whatever the plan type might be. Now that you're not working there anymore, you're not getting that intra-office communication. You're only being communicated to by the custodian of that plan. So your communication gets limited. And then to Tim's point, the control gets limited. This is your money. You worked really, really hard to amass this wealth. So you need to be in control of your funds. If you leave it with custodian XYZ, like Tim said, well, maybe you can't get monthly distributions. Maybe you only get an annual statement instead of being able to log into something. It's just not the right thing. So normally I'm going to tell someone, why don't you roll that into an IRA, multiple IRAs, so that you have control of how it's invested, how it's distributed, and you are in control of your communication. You're getting that communication directly to you in a timely fashion, and you have a team behind you that's also going to help you with that communication.
The other thing that I would say, I'll give you an example to Scott's point. I had a client that had come in to talk to us about our roadmap, and we started going through her process. She had been working for around 20, 25 years. She was a nurse, so she'd been kind of going through different hospitals. And she did not realize that she had all these different 401ks. So we started looking at where they were because she had not received any communication from anybody because she had moved several times. Because part of that was on her doing, because she never let the HR department or the plan know that she had moved, so they didn't have the correct address to send all the statements to her. But I remember one of them that didn't have a lot of money in it, but it was like after her first job, and she had several $1,000s in there. after tracking it back through several years, found out that because of the fees that was being generated, because she wasn't putting any more money into it in the market with what was happening, guess what? It went down to zero.
Oh, no.
And she did not have any idea that where she could have rolled it over where she would have had more constant communication. So those are some things that really happen in real life, because life gets in the way a lot of times when you start moving jobs, moving houses and things like that, because we have better opportunities. And we sometimes forget that. And the other thing too is, guess what? With that lack of communication, maybe you got married in that period of time and you had your beneficiary as your parents. So you don't know what to, you don't even think about things like those are issues that we sit down with people and make sure it is properly done based on where you are. If you have an IRA, you're in constant communication with your advisor. If you have a good advisor, if you have a fiduciary that's taking care of you. A lot of people, once they get your money, they seem to forget who you are.
And you make a great point there, Ralph. I mean, let's think about it. If you had you were a nurse like your young lady, and you worked at one hospital from the time you were 25 to the time you were 30, and then you move on, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now all of a sudden, let's fast forward and you're getting ready to retire. You're 60. Well, I guarantee the way you set up your 401k when you were 25, your goals, your the amount of risk you would take is a lot different. I mean, if you're not getting that communication, if you're not monitoring it, you are not in control. So most times, yes, let's get control of that money for you. Let's let that dollar do what it is meant to do for you and your specific goals.
Yeah, and we know we talk to so many people about their different retirement accounts, and I think one of the biggest things that people look at is, well, they bring in a statement and their monthly expense or their fee was like $13 for an admin fee. So everybody's always chasing that dollar. So, well, it's a cheap way to invest. Well, what value are you getting out of it? I think that's huge as well, because, if you started working at XYZ company at the age of 20, you started putting money in there, the HR said, hey, go ahead and set this thing up and we'll see you later. If we go 40 years, fast forward to 40 years, it's going to be completely different, as far as your risk tolerance is concerned. But people say, well, I'm not paying much fees. Well, you could have taken that $500,000 and made it $1 million instead of settling for that $500,000 in that 40-year time frame. So I think that's huge. Keeping costs low is good, but you also need to get a value out of it as well. I mean, if you're paying a $13 admin fee, you're not getting anything out of it other than somebody's just recording it.
Well, the other thing too is HR personnel department, whatever you have in your company, their job is not to advise you what to do. Their job is to, here's the paperwork. This is the plan that we have. Here's the paperwork to sign up for. And it's your job at that point in time to decide what it is. Now, how many people do you run into that 25, 30 years old that know exactly anything about financial markets? Very few. So those are things that you need to understand. The HR department is there to get you enrolled, but that is their job and only their job because of liability, because they're not trained to make any recommendation stuff. And that's where we come in to help you make those recommendations when it comes to investing money, having holistic plans. Do you need insurance? Do you need LTC? Things like that. That department is saying, here's what we've got. It may be good for you. It may not be good. We're not going to tell you. This is your job.
Yeah. And when we started off the show, we talked about, there's different options, different decisions for 401ks and employer plans. And that's one of the biggest pieces of the retirement roadmap that we do for everyone is, hey, what are your options currently and what other options do you have? So that's what the most important thing is. Sometimes there's good, sometimes there's bad, but no matter what, that's what the retirement roadmap is for, is to go through the process to see, all the variables in life.
That's absolutely key, is understanding what your options are. I mean, how many people have we all met that had their old 401k sitting at the old company because they didn't know they had options? That's why we do the roadmap. That's why we do things like this podcast or go on to ensure that you know what your options are so you can take control.
Educating and informing you and letting you know what your options are. So I see obviously a lot of favor towards rolling that over into an IRA. Let me play a devil's advocate here. Is there ever a situation where leaving it in the 401k would actually, can you think of any offhand where that has actually been the preferred move for someone?
I don't think I've can think of anything offhand. Now, leaving the entire balance of the 401k, probably not. But when it comes to maybe leaving some money in the 401k, say if you're going to continue to work, maybe even part-time for the same employer, those type of things could be a benefit.
But the other thing might be because of your age and you might need some money, that might be a better option for you with some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah. The 401k plans or any of those, employer sponsored plans may offer you a few more options. So there could be a scenario, especially I think if you're a little bit younger. But if we're getting close to retirement, if we're pre-retiree, it's tough to find them.
We talk often here about controlling what you can control. We can't control what the markets are going to do. We can't control what the tax rates are. When it comes to your retirement accounts, you can. There's a lot of merit to rolling them over and having a little bit more control, having more options with it. But figuring out how it's going to work for you, what's going to work best for you, not necessarily going it alone like I did. And as you guys mentioned, when I was in my 20s, I am willing to bet that I just picked the plan, the option that sounded the coolest. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. You want a little bit more than that, or this one's got a catchy name or the color. Figuring out how it's actually going to work best for you is what the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners does. Again, educating you, informing you, letting you know what your options are. And so if you are in that retirement red zone and you're trying to figure out what am I going to do with my retirement accounts now, why not sit down with them and let them show you what those options are and figure out what is going to work best for you down the line. It all starts with a simple click of the website, welcomehomefp.com. It's right there in the podcast description. It'll take you right there. You can set up a time to speak with them, find out more about the guys, find out more about the First Friday events, register to attend one of the First Friday events if you feel so inclined. But they'd love to take the time to speak with you. And again, welcomehomefp.com. We appreciate you joining us, taking time out of your day to spend with us here on Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Hope you have a great day ahead of you. Gentlemen, I hope you guys have a great day as well. And as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with the final word.
Before I let Tim wrap us up, hey, Chris, if you need help with your, investment strategies, just click the link in the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely help you out.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate your time. So we do see a lot of people that have questions about their 401ks. What's the right decision? What's the wrong decision? So if you are listening and you have questions or something we said today plucked the nerve, hit a little pain point, pick up the phone, give us a call. We love the opportunity to bring you into the office and see how we can help you out. Everybody take care.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any residents of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.